All right, so we're live.
Do
you go by Nate or Nathan?
I go by Nate.
Nate. Okay, yeah. Nate. Sisler here with at the Haleiwa Distilling Company. We're on our sixth podcast here. But yeah, maybe we can just start off with just a high level overview of like what is the business? Like how long have you been in business? What do you sell here? Like where are we located? And then from there we'll go into more of like the origin story of like how you got started.
Yeah, absolutely. And welcome to Haleiwa Distilling Company. I'm Nate. I'm the owner, founder. And the reason I started this was really I saw a huge opportunity at the Waialua Sugar Mill. Once it went out of business, it was one of the largest producing sugar mills in the country. And when it went out of business, a lot of people lost their jobs and there was no economy here. It was pretty desolate in this area. But we all know it's the heart of surfboard shaping. But it was a dirt parking lot and dirt roads and potholes. I live in the community and I love Waialua, and my kids go to school here. I was like, I got to do something more. And this is industrial zone property, so this is what it's made for, and it has a history. So I'm a third generation moonshiner, and I decided that maybe I should make a distillery, and I wanted to get out of government. So I came here to build this, and to the sugar mill to build this, to make Haleiwa Distilling Company, and to make rum, whiskey, gin, and moonshine. And it was really my goal to create manufacturing here on North Shore and have an extremely beautiful, delicious product with high quality control standards. And we're here.
Very good. So yeah, you piqued my interest talking about how the sugar mill closed some period of time ago. What I think is really interesting is like you're distilling products from sugar cane. This used to be a huge sugar mill. Yeah. Just curious for me, and I guess for the listeners, like a little bit more on the history of like when did the sugar mill like actually close? And yeah, we'd just love to know a little bit more about that. Are you getting your sugar cane like from locally or somewhere in Hawaii, or just kind of curious about like how this kind of plays into the sugar mill story?
Yeah. So the sugar mill operated between 1865 and 1996 when it closed. And from 96 until we started building, there was no new construction here. It was basically dormant as an industrial park, except for the small businesses that are currently here, which are mostly shapers, and we have the soap factory right across the street. You know, I think the history of the sugar mill as a manufacturing lead, and also as this entire area of North Shore and Hawaii at the time, was all sugarcane. We used tons of sugarcane. Literally, I buy containers of sugar to make our rum. Also use it for some of our other liquors that we produce. But I always am sourcing high quality organic sugarcane. In Hawaii, it's hard to get that in bulk. So I have to become creative. And also land usage is difficult with labor. And I wanted to create something here where we really focused on the liquor. And I really wanted to bring the sugar mill back to life as a manufacturing area. It already was, but it was more industrial. It wasn't like a commercial food grade product. Mm-hmm. And that's where I was looping the liquor back in with the sugar mill and coming back together. Now, as part of that, it took forever to get the permits, which I can go talk about a thesis on this. But the sugar mill needed something to like be the core, to breathe life back into this old place and its history. And that's what we did by building this. We paved the roads. We got our brand new facility we built from scratch. We're opening up a brand new food truck across from us that I think everyone's going to love. And it's allowed a lot of businesses to grow around me. And it's funny because I saw these things starting to sprout, these seeds sprout before I was even legal. I had to sit on my hands for a while waiting on permits while everyone else was operational, which I loved. And that's exactly was the intent from the beginning.
Yeah, we'll get into the permits later, I think, when we go on a deep dive. Yeah. But yeah, personally, like I've been coming here for 3-4 years, driving by here every week. There was no businesses here, except your structure was starting to sprout up, and now we have all these other small businesses around here, which are, I think, complementary, which we'll get into later. But I interviewed our bungalow the other day, and I'm sure I'll interview a few more businesses in the sugar mill, but I think it's cool to see it come to life. Maybe we can just go take a step back and kind of get to your origin story and kind of how we got here. So you mentioned third generation moonshiner. Would love to a little bit know about like your background, where you grew up. and some of your experience.
Yeah, so I'm originally from West Virginia, and as soon as I was old enough, I joined the military. I was out. I wanted something more, and I was always striving to travel, and I did that. And I spent a great career in the Air Force. I was also a government civilian, and I always wanted to be my own boss, and I always wanted to be in manufacturing since I was a kid. Some of my first jobs were in a chicken factory, like a chicken plant. They make chicken for KFC, and I was like, this can't be the end. Like, there's got to be something better than this. And as I've grown through manufacturing, I realized that's really where this desire always came from. Is I was always in manufacturing, but I was never able to really own it or like push it in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you grew up in it. You went into the military. I guess how long were you in the military, and how long did that last?
Yeah. I joined the Air Force, and when I was younger, obviously I didn't have a degree yet, so I was an aircraft mechanic. Traveled the world as a crew chief on a C-5 Galaxy, which is super fun, and I learned a lot. And many of the skills that I learned there apply to building a distillery, because I can plumb my own lines and troubleshoot electrical and whatever I need to do. And I grew out of that quickly, and I was really always fascinated with the intelligence community and capabilities there. So as I was finishing my college, which I went to West Virginia University, I decided to pursue a career in the intelligence community. And I also, at a similar time, decided randomly that I was going to move to Hawaii, and that was it. And I was just like, I'm going to fall on this sword.
For what reason? Had you been here before?
I had never been here before. I just was infatuated with the fact that you could live an limited summer, that I could spearfish and hunt and surf and dive, jet ski, tow-ins all year round. And it's a perfect space. And it's also a great place to raise kids. So I knew that this was it for me. And as soon as I got out here, I was like, this was the right decision. And I left my careers on the East Coast just to come to Hawaii with really no ambitions except for to continue my career as an intelligence officer and to live my life in the way I wanted to with all my hobbies. And we all have that problem here.
Yeah. I think that's what brings us together. My wife had been trying to get me to move out here for like 10 years before I finally came around. So
yeah, amazing.
So did you get transferred out here, or?
No, I actually cold quit my job, and they're kind of like, hey, we have some friends over there that you should talk to. They're standing up a unit that you could be part of. So I actually transitioned through the government, but I went in with the intent of just quitting and cold moving to Hawaii. And they essentially gave me the contacts to get a job when I got out here, which made life a lot easier.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I think there's less than that. It's just like, put your mind to something, stick to it. And then sometimes things just fall around.
Yeah.
Like fall for you, like around you. Like once you kind of set your mind on a direction.
I think it's also important to surround yourself with the right people. And that's what we've done at the distillery too. Is like, we're not just like making liquor. Like, I developed a team. And I have a team that's also just as good as I am, that I rely on probably more than I should, because I trust them. And that's how part of the reason I ended up in Hawaii is because I was always part of a team, a good team, and around the right people.
Right.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I mean, do you think you learned a lot about building teams like through the Air Force? I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of structure. And
yeah, the government work was interesting because I'll say I would have learned more from bad leadership experiences than I did from good leadership experiences over my years.
You know what you don't like.
Yeah, just not what I like, but what doesn't work, and ways to approach problems and how to come up with innovative solutions and not snuff innovation. Very important.
Yep, makes sense.
Especially for our generation.
So you're coming up through the Air Force. Was there a parallel step where you were also distilling and making spirits, like along that way through your childhood or in your 20s, or?
Yeah. So
what was happening there? I guess on the hobby side.
To the liquor, it was, and the hobby. In West Virginia, moonshine is this part of culture. It's there, and I always really liked moonshine, honestly. And I didn't think anything about it really. My father was a West Virginia history teacher. Retired. My mom was a teacher as well. And I was just always kind of in my blood. And it was one of those things that wasn't even a thought. It was just there. I bought a small farm here on North Shore, and it's full of starfruit or five finger, like millions of them, like truckloads. What do you do with that many starfruit? You can't sell them at a farmer's market. They go bad too fast or they're bruised.
Yeah.
I have so many that the goats won't even eat them anymore.
Yeah.
So
they're not really like in high demand from a produce standpoint.
Yeah, but they're wonderful, wonderful fruit. They just don't have a long shelf life. So I decided that I was going to juice them and make wine. And they have a very subtle flavor. So I like the science and the innovation of trying to get that flavor perfect. And I think that goes through every process that I've done in my life. Is like that creativity is what really drives me, is that availability to be creative. I figured out how to make starfruit wine like really good. And then I realized I had so much wine that I was like, man, I could just get a still and just make moonshine. And so I did. Technically, it's not moonshine, because it comes from fruit. But moonshine to me is untaxed liquor. And so I started making some moonshines based on the fruit availability that I had, their bee products, not BUs. And it kind of became popular, and people were like, hey, this is really good. And I was like, yeah, I know how to do this. And then I was like, I'm also very passionate about this, and we need a gathering place on North Shore, and I can do what I love, and that is making high quality like liquor or moonshine.
Right.
And I moved right into that.
So when you were doing it in small, I'm assuming smaller batches, what kind of equipment are you using?
I was just using like glass carboys. Like you can see two over there. I can see one of my old stills sitting up in the corner over here. I was using the smallest equipment that you could imagine compared to scaling to this. Like this was actually intimidating. I had to learn it. But like that, I think a lot of people would see fear or get stressed, but I saw like a solution driven opportunity. The small equipment that I was using, I was in like one of those Rubbermaid sheds in the backyard. And then I like quickly grew out of that. And then I was like, okay, I need like a container. Then I got a container, and then I'm like, okay, I need to do this commercially, because this hobby is becoming something more than just a hobby. And that's when you start scaling into something this size. So when I started my DSP, I went from...
Sorry, what is DSP?
A DSP is a distilled spirits plant. That's what this location is. By federal government, by TTB, this area is a designated liquor manufacturing plant. So distilled spirits plant is what they call it by law. And you have to submit your application with your location, security plan, your equipment. Everything has to be spec'd out. I started with a 500-gallon still, which is this. And that going from, a 15-gallon system, like in retrospect to this, is massive jump. And there's a huge learning curve there. But I enjoyed the process. And so when I started, it was just kind of backyard Rubbermaid shed. Right. I encourage anybody that has a passion like that, like if you're good at it, run with it.
Right.
And now I have a full-size facility and full-time employees. I would never saw this coming.
So when you went up to the 50-gallon, is that this place, or was that somewhere else?
No, 15.
Okay.
So I did do a 50 for a while in testing, and I immediately knew that I had to scale into something bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that leads us to here. Like, how did this start? What was like your first step in making this decision to build this location?
Yeah. We talked about it at the beginning a little bit. The best answer I could say is honestly, the Waialua Sugar Mill really needed something. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I thought I was going to ride my dirt bike to work and make whiskey. That was 100% honesty.
I think the rumor for a while was that this was going to be a whiskey distillery.
Yes, we do make whiskey, and we're getting ready to release it next month.
Okay.
And it took me a long time to perfect. And the first barrel whiskey on North Shore is just over here in the corner over there. But what I did here was why here? Waialua was in the community. I wanted to do something to teach my kids, like, hey, you need to persevere. This is what business looks like. There's other opportunities out there. And riding my dirt bike to work and making whiskey, rum, or gin, or whatever was just like idyllic in my mind. Now I'm essentially a CEO. I take meetings all day long. I never get to ride my dirt bike or motorcycle. Didn't see that coming. So if you asked me that question before I opened, it would be a different answer than today. And I find the irony in that beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, so you decided you wanted to do it here, but like, was there space available, or how did that process start?
Well, I mean, to appropriately answer your question, there is...
I guess, did you start with the business in mind or the location in mind?
I started with the location because the business can kind of fit appropriately anywhere but I wanted it in our community here. Like, I didn't want to go do it in town or in Capital A. Like, I wanted to do it here on North Shore, someplace that was easy to get to,
Right.
and not make it complicated. There's a lot that comes up when you talk about the location. It's because in Hawaii, we have different zoning laws, which everyone understands is great, but there's also liquor industry is fairly cutthroat. And this being on an island, there's hawks out there. So I was looking at properties across North Shore, and someone actually tried to take my business plan at one point. And I looked at that as a negative thing in the beginning, but it just motivated me more and allowed me to say, okay, I just need to get my house a little tighter. And I approached certain people in the community, and I was like, hey, where's the most appropriate place to do this? Because I was on political damage control after someone tried to take the business plan.
And this is someone that you brought your idea to in earnest to try to help you, essentially?
No, I took it to them trying to find an appropriate property or purchase an appropriate property for the business model, right? Like, I didn't want to put it on ag land. There's restrictions, and there's ways it should be done. And I was like, no, I want to be able to source ingredients from globally so I can have the absolute best product. I want to have made in Hawaii products, but I also want to be able to scale and expand as needed. And so that is, the land that I looked at, it was somebody associated with that, and it just didn't work out because I realized, I was like, hey, this is not the appropriate land usage here. And when you do a distillery, you are a manufacturing plant, so it's fairly restricted. So when the sugar mill sold actually to the current owners, I approached them with my business plan. I was like, hey, this is really what I want to do. I love the sugar mill. I couldn't afford buying it. There's too much risk there for me, but this is what I want to do. And they're basically like, okay. And from that point on, it was on. So sourcing the building, shipping the building, like concrete, getting contractors, running the whole gamut of permits, everything, bringing it all together in one place and creating a vision from scratch. Like, literally, this is my canvas. Some artists use paint and sculpt, but I can see places and then build it in that design.
So
yeah.
I guess how long has it taken from, I'm sure there was a lot of planning involved before, but maybe like signing contract with owner to getting this place up and live?
3.5 to 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
A long time.
An incredibly long time. Probably the most challenging and difficult time of my life. Yeah, 100%.
Do you want to talk about some of the challenges or the learnings?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can. Yes. What I would have to say is the city and county of Honolulu do not make small business easy. I'm a disabled veteran. I was doing combat tours at the same time I was building this. I had my kids and trying to build a nascent business, and I just ran in outside of life and work. I just felt there was no help from the city and county level. My business loan is through SBA, so I have a small business loan through SBA.
It's like a local bank.
Actually, a lot of local banks would not take me on because it was alcohol and a startup. And I think mostly because they knew the permits would be impossible to get, essentially.
Yep.
So I partnered with DBED, the state of Hawaii, which have been phenomenal. Highly suggest that to anyone. If you're interested, you should definitely talk to them. SBA was absolutely phenomenal. Federal level, state level. And then we also have a third party called Feed the Hungry that helped with my business loan. Also phenomenal to work with. And then when it came to the city and county, especially permitting for the building, I would say liquor commissions have been great to work with. They've actually, they want you to operate, right? Mm-hmm. I feel city and county planning department, that's a different story. Like, I had to refinance properties. I had to refinance properties just to exist because the permits took so long and there was no one to talk to. There was no small business assistants within the city and county that would assist you with any type of permits, period. I think that's the number one thing that has to get fixed.
Are you just like driving down to the city, like knocking on the door, trying to get things done, or like?
Really, I'd call them and email them, but it was like, I think the biggest thing would be like, I'd have these small celebrations of like, yeah, we passed the hurdle. And you just look up and there's this another mountain that you create.
Right.
And then it's like, for me as a small business and all small businesses, I can say, that's not just a mountain. That's a financial obligation.
Yeah.
That's another engineer. That's another plan. That's another employee that you can't hire because you have to redirect your funds somewhere else.
Or you're potentially paying interest on a loan, or you're paying for a lease. Or
I had to go ask my lenders because of the permits here. I literally had to go ask my lenders to be like, hey, can I defer my loan until I open? Like, I'm doing everything within my power legally to make this work. And that was all because of city and county permitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you had good partners that were willing to work with you.
They were. That's why I highly suggest SBA, DBED, and Feed the Hungry. They were the best partners. I don't have any business partners. It's just my business loans and my funds. And, the according of time kept extending, and they were very supportive in allowing to facilitate small business. And otherwise, I really wouldn't exist. It just wouldn't become affordable. Even my landlords have been incredibly gracious and letting me get to be operational. And I think most people understand that.
Yeah. Is there anything now looking back on that, like that you would have done differently? Like, oh, maybe I could have hired this consultant, or is the process just not laid out in a way that even allows you to like skip steps or approach it more efficiently? I think your business is so unique that they probably looked at it and said, we don't know what to do. That's probably, it doesn't fit into a tight box.
That's very true. I would not have changed anything that I did, because I took every decision and step very calculated, because I didn't want my kids to eat ramen noodles for the rest of their life. Right. And I felt like I was on that threshold many times. And what I would have done is probably run for the state Senate and really fix some issues that deep within the city and county that need worked on. I think until there's some laws changed or there's some accountability pushed, we're just going to have to sit and watch.
Do you think the reason why there's so much friction is it's on purpose, or do you think it's just like a inefficient process?
Well, we're strictly talking about DPP, right. I'm assuming here. And so I think with DPP, my comment on that is you can't build good infrastructure on top of bad infrastructure. There's a lot of historics within that department, many of which I'm not even aware. We weren't even born, and I personally don't want to spend the energy to understand.
Right.
I just want to operate a small business and do a great job and pay taxes and live a great life. Yeah. And we're the single encumberment to making that happen. I think that the issues there reside from the historic perspective of they were probably built to retard development processes, because there are so many developers across our island and state.
Right.
And so I think they probably had some historics of like slowing processes down, maybe in due cause on bigger projects, but there's no small business assistance. There's nobody to call. If you pick up the line and call them right now, you'll go to a voicemail or a secretary that sends you to another voicemail.
Yep.
So there's no interaction portion with them. So I think it was a historical retardation mechanism to slow development, which we probably need, but there's no assistance there for the auntie or the uncle or the small business owner.
All right, switching topics. We got to an opening date.
Yes.
I guess talk a little bit about the opening.
Yeah.
Would also just love to know more about the business model. I know that you can do tours here. I know that there's event space. You obviously sell liquor. Yeah, I would love to know about the opening and the business model. Yeah,
so as a business owner, you get to the point where you're like, we got to open. And especially with so many delays over the years, I was like, it's time to go. So I really wanted to push and open. So I just set a date, and it was like, this is a sword we're falling on. And I got the staff trained as best I could. And we opened up on 5 July. And what we do here is we make rum, whiskey, gin, and moonshine. Right now, we're only serving rum. We sell bottles out of our tasting room and craft cocktails, where we're sourcing majority of our ingredients from North Shore, like the mints from a farm here on North Shore. We juice all our limes that are from North Shore, and it's the lime juice we put in every cocktail and the limes that we cut to put on the cocktails. So like every ingredient, we're trying to source as local as much as possible, and that makes a huge difference in our quality. We have the tasting room, which also we can host events. And it's been really beautiful because we've hosted a lot of events and they've been really successful, but we do a lot of private events as well. So if you're looking for a place, we have you covered, and we've got really professional at that. I think we have one of the best venues on North Shore. It's just unique opportunity that you can come and hang out with your staff or whatever situation calls for it. We've done it probably. And I feel like we've got really good reviews, and every time we get feedback, positive or negative, we implement it. We find a solution and we fix it. For example, some ladies asked me for hangers for the purse under the bar. We did it the same day. We just went and got some and we put it under. Right. But our model here as a business is, we're number one, we're a manufacturing facility. We have a tasting room. We can sell to people that come on site, point of sale. We also have a distributor where we sell our liquor with them. So we'll be across the state. We don't really want to grow that too fast, but we want to maintain our quality control.
The distributor, are they selling your products in what, bars and restaurants across the island, or is it also going retail?
Right now, it's actually both. They can sell wherever they like, but they ordered several pallets, and they're just pushing out in the stores. I think we'll be in some stores probably this week or next. The first time, it'll probably be a tear in my eye when I see them. But, really coming from, being a manufacturer and a manufacturing facility, to see a product that you've created the recipe, created the custom bottles and the art on the label, and you put it all together, and then it goes to sale at a retail market is beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I think what I'm excited about too, just as a local resident, is just a place to come hang out.
Yes.
There just isn't really anywhere to hang out.
It was, it just to have a place to bring your kids and your dog, and there's like good vibes and no ego, and just come have a cocktail, eat dinner, and relax. We needed that for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's what we provide as a gathering space. And people thank me all the time, which I've never saw coming. People were thanking me for opening because they have a place to go to.
Yep.
And that's important to me. It's also important to make it a venue for musicians. Like, I think there's just not enough space for musicians to come play on North Shore. And so we've been doing a lot of music with lots of positive feedback, and just, one band has to drive to town and they don't get done till 1 a.m, and they live on North Shore, and then they have to drive back, and those are their gigs. And I'm like, man, you could play here till 10 and be at home by 11, and they love it. And that's the type of space we want to offer. The gathering space for the bands, for the families, for everyone.
Yeah. So go check out their Instagram. They post their concerts on there. I guess, do you call them a concert or live music?
Live music, concert, yeah. We don't really charge, so I don't think it's a concert, but it's pretty fun.
Cool. I know you mentioned food. You don't sell food here, but I guess what is the relationship with other restaurants around here?
Yeah, so, for the community, I think this is really important. So the front of the sugar mill there was just a gravel parking lot. It was a mud parking lot until we graveled it. And a lot of food trucks started approaching me trying to partner. And I thought it was an issue because I don't want that to be like a food truck parking lot.
Yeah.
And I know the community doesn't want that. So I was like, who is the best in industry? Because I want to work with the hammers. I want to work with people that when you shake their hand, they're going to do it. So John, that owns Surf and Salsa, and his family, they approached me and was like, hey, we would love to do a second location with the distillery. And I was like, this is perfect. I don't want to be involved in food. I trust you, and you execute at a very high level. We had basically a penny and a handshake. And now they're building their space out. They're going to open up within a month. So we're going to have Surf and Salsa on site, so you can order and then they'll bring it to you. But that's a completely separate business, and they operate their own business, public facing on that side. So you guys can just come eat Surf and Salsa, and not obligated to drink. But if you want to come have a cocktail and eat some Surf and Salsa, we'll work together. So
I think it's a great partnership.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, what else? I know you mentioned some new products. I guess what's coming down the pike in terms of products or the business?
Yes.
Would love to know that.
There's a lot of this is classified.
Okay. Well, you can only share it. You don't need to share it.
No, just for fun. We're coming out with our whiskey. So I haven't told anybody the name except for people that came through. The whiskey takes longer because you have to age it, of course, and the recipes are a little bit more subtle. And so we're going to come out with red dirt whiskey. So, this place was red dirt. The farm roads are red dirt. It kind of gets in your soul and stains you. And so red dirt whiskey will release before Christmas. I have about 10 barrels that are ready to bottle, and I'm just waiting for labels to arrive. And as soon as they get here, we'll start bottling, and then we'll be ready to push them out. We also have gin. We're working on our gin recipes right now. We're trying to do like a subtle gin flavor, but that's the fun part that we all love because we get to innovate and just test. And so we're doing gin here very soon, and that'll be released most likely before Christmas as well, but maybe a little bit after the new year. I have a moonshine label as well. And so we're also going to do some RTDs, or ready to drink cocktail mixes. So we have Mana Sunrise in-house. It's a legal cocktail mix, and we'll probably sell larger bottles of cocktail mixes in the future. So it's just a lot of learning and equipment adjustments and ensure that we're efficient in those processes to get those new products out. So we've been slow on the roll, but they're coming soon.
Exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, super exciting.
Anything else you want to cover before we kind of start to close it out?
No, I think I would like to say as owner, thanks for everyone that's came and supported us. We really appreciate it. This is what we're here for. They're going to bury me here because I'm not going anywhere. And we just want to make this an incredible space that you can bring your friends and family and just hang out and relax.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I do have a couple questions that I ask everyone.
Yeah.
Do you have any like favorite or interesting North Shore businesses that you follow or are friends with?
Yeah, like I think I pretty much follow all of them, but honestly, I love Surf and Salsa. I just think it's just a beautiful like food model. Their food is amazing. You know, I follow Maya's and the Fix opening up. I think I'm more of a foodie maybe because like I think those are really incredible, but you know, those are Haleiwa, right? Like Waialua, I see Nani's opened up, love to see new businesses. We have Melee's Bakery in the back, which is incredible. I just went and got coffee there this morning. And, you know, all the businesses associated with the silos. I see Third Stone stepping up their game over there, like printing shirts like crazy. So I watch other business owners and their businesses, and like I'm happy to see that commerce is moving and everybody's doing well.
I think just in the last couple 2 to 3 years, like a lot of interesting businesses are popping up.
Yeah, I love it. I think, you know, getting away from that corporate model for North Shore, I think it's really important for sustainability. And that's what we're doing here. And, you know, we really have to grow it from the grassroots. And I will tell you 100%, the Waialua Sugar Mill is the place to be. This is where all the new businesses are, and it's where everyone's starting. And it's a great place to run a business.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I guess last question, any advice to someone who's in the process of starting a business here or interested in starting a business here? I guess general advice or even like North Shore specific things.
Absolutely. Man, I could write a thesis on this. All I have to say is do it. Don't let anybody tell you no. Step up your game and get ready and go. Quit sitting around. That's what I have to say. Yeah. There's either a doer or a donor, you know? So just jump on it and go, especially if you're passionate about it. Don't wait. You only live once.
Yep.
Can't go back in time and plant trees.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
I think we're sweating enough.
It's so hot. I'm just like, dude, why do we pick this room?